Sirocans and members of the micronational community. I am honoured to speak tonight to mark the second anniversary of our nation's founding. 2 years is certainly an excellent and important milestone, but it is one that some micronations never live to see. A micronation is not an easy thing to maintain. Much planning must go into the creation of an independent state, from the writing up of a constitution to the issuance of banknotes. And even then, after the hard yards have been put in the past, the state must be maintained or it is doomed to falter and ultimately fall apart. How many times has it happened that a micronation has started off with magnificent fanfare and all the promise of something akin to a micronational superpower, only to forget itself and slide into the pit of failed states? Only true dedication to the micronational spirit can keep a micronation going, and it is a rare few that have managed to put down roots and weather the storm. Some, like Sealand, Molossia, and Hutt River, have braved the elements better than others. In our own community, we can look to the superpowers like St. Charlie and Australasia to give us inspiration that yes, a micronation can succeed if enough effort is put into it. Every micronation starts off small with hopes of being big, but not everybody gets there simply because not enough effort is put into it. But that is not a problem we have faced in Sirocco. We have been committed to being something big ever since we bolted out of the starting gates 2 years ago today. But instead of just saying it, we acted upon it, and to this day we still are. In November 2010, we were a brand new micronation, with no impact on the community whatsoever. We were simply just another newbie taking up space in an increasingly crowded group of micronations. 2 years later, though, it is fair to say we have become one of the most respected micronations in the community. It has taken work and dedication. 2 years ago, we had a very rudimentary government with little else of note to add to our nation's portfolio. All we had was a flag, a coat of arms, a constitution now being replaced with a more modern version, some ministers, and 4 large but extremely disorganized provinces. We thought we were great. Today, we know that the Sirocco of yesteryear looks nothing like the Sirocco of today. We have established a broad base of government departments, companies, provinces, people, and of course our now famous culture. Our legislature now reflects our provinces and dependencies, not the individual ministries. We have currency praised by many as an example of some of the best of micronational money. We have a range of people of all descriptions in both New Zealand and South Africa. We have several companies enriching the Siroccan economy and improving our quality of living. We have a unique Siroccan culture, a well-known blend of trams, power poles, roads, the 1950s, computers, toasters, dirigibles, and in the case of our friends in Zona, feudal Japan. We have a reputation for astoundingly good television and graphic design. This is Sirocco today. But this would not be the Sirocco of today if we had not worked to establish ourselves. Since we came into being, there has been an influx of many micronations into our community, but which have not attempted to push themselves to the limits and get to the top ranks of the community like we did. We may be accused of being elitist, and to an extent this may be true, but the real truth is we have a national identity of being a nation of people many micronationalists would be glad to have a drink with, rather than be a bottom feeder laughed at by the rest. A micronation like ours must continue to tick over and keep itself going, or it will lose its momentum. Earlier this year, A1 saw the wheels not just fall off, but spin out completely. While they, like us, had a well-established structure and were well respected, they allowed the cancer of inactivity to creep in and claim them. Since the election of the Socialists last year and the subsequent return of National to power this year, St. Charlie has also been sliding down the slope of inactivity. If this problem is not addressed soon, then I fear we could lose the undisputed top dog of this community. But the death of our micronations and our community is a problem that we all face. Many of us are leaving our youth behind to enter the big wide world. Some of us are at university now. Others, like myself, are planning to do so in the near future. While at no point am I saying micronationalism must be placed ahead of tertiary study, I am saying that there needs to be some form of activity happening. Otherwise, our hard work and dedication over the last X years will have all been in vain. If nations like Sealand, Molossia, and Hutt River can succeed after 35, 40, 45 plus years, then so can we. All it takes is a bit of elbow grease and a willingness to get stuck in. Success in the micronational community is not a God-given right. While anyone can start a micronation, it takes a special breed of micronationalists to get it going and make things happen. Nations like Sirocco or Zealandia or Tiana do not just happen, they evolve. While we may look back on our past and shudder, we cannot forget that that was the way things were. In 2012, we may look back on 2010 and wonder just what we were thinking. But in 5, 10, 20, 50 years' time, we may look back on today and be amazed at just how ludicrous we were. The Sirocco of today may be vastly different to the Sirocco of 2010, but the Sirocco of today will be nothing like the Sirocco of 2020, 2035, or 2060. There is simply no way to know for certain. But what we can acknowledge is that we started off small but had big aspirations, and we acted on those aspirations. That is the best thing for a micronation to do. Sit down and plan out what you want to do, then go out there and jolly well do it. But don't be like everyone else. Take for example the micro-wiki community. It is full of socialist nations that by and large are carbon copies of one another, with the usual installation of the hammer and sickle, the international, the people's whatever, and so on. If that's what you yearn for, then fine. But I can assure you that you won't get far. Have something that makes you stand out. Look at Zealandia, a pseudo-Sweden of the South Seas. And then there is Sandus, a highly religious state, and while they may be at odds with many of us from time to time, none of us can say that they are a stereotypical socialist state. Jutlandia too is different. It's just because there's more stuffed animals than real people hanging around. Individuality is something we should all strive to have. After all, how many micronations do you see around that have a strange attraction to military regalia, or tramcars, or teddy bears speaking in heavy Russian accents? Sirocco has come a long way, as have we all. But just because today is our second birthday doesn't mean the work ends here. 2013 will pose its own challenges, just as 2012 has. But if we keep our teeth gritted and our feet moving ever forward, then we'll still keep going. Inactivity is a blight on many micronations. But as I say tonight for our second anniversary celebrations, with some hard work, your micronation may well just be one of many micronations with plenty to do in the future. All it takes is dedication and commitment. We've come a long way, Sirocco. Happy birthday.